Hello everyone, my name is BigHeroSixy and welcome to the Priory of the Sacred Flame. It is a new dungeon on the War Within Alpha. It was just released this week for testing in the new Hallowfall area, the other dungeon being the Dawnbreaker if you are interested in checking that out as well. I should have a video up on that soon after the release of this one. This video is going to be edited in some ways. We're just going to show some of the trash and then specifically the bosses and some parts of the dungeon itself. So the group I have here is with a few other content creators. Just met them randomly in the queue. I believe it's Max, Dratnos, Dorky. I'm not 100% who all is in this group. It's just, I remember Hammer Dunker from the early access alpha, and that is what Max names his paladin. So, and then Dorky has Dorky in his name, and then I think they mentioned Dratnos was there. So that was one of the first few trash packs. You just walk into this courtyard here and you see there's a clickable in the middle. For paladins and priests, I believe, you can click on the Eternal Flame. The buff itself gives you extra damage, and on combat logs it was about 10 million damage, which is sizable to an extent. I did forget to pick this back up. If you do wipe, you need to pick up the buff again. It does go away. It does not persist through death. So my numbers are not 100% accurate. It may be higher. Now, at the very beginning of this dungeon, you can see that the first boss is someone called Captain Dalecry. If you look to the right there on the objectives menu, we have Sergeant Chainmail, which is a pun on chainmail, I believe. And that is one of the mini bosses. So from what I understand is that you look to kill as many of the mini bosses as you can within this section of the dungeon. And then Captain Dalecry has less ads attached to it. I have not tested that enough times yet. It's kind of hard to get dungeons on the alpha, depending on who's online at the time. So the best way to go about is the day they release these, you get in there and try and get as many runs as you can. But I did not have as many runs as Priory that I would have liked. But yeah, the trash itself seems kind of chaotic compared to the other dungeons that we've tested on the alpha so far. The sharpshooters throw out a bunch of traps that you have to watch out. As long as you don't walk into them, you're fine. But it is still quite annoying. Paladin's lucky that we have freedom and we can freedom someone else to get out of it. But I think the dot still persists. And then they were on comms at a Discord, from my understanding. So I wasn't 100% sure what they were doing. We had a random pull there. And then it just kind of goes haywire, and we go into a very, very large pull with a lust pop, and then we just cannot foreseeably handle this with how it started. If everything was together all at once, it would have been fine, but we got split up, and then we also had ads, so it is what it is. But I will edit forward. So we're back where we were. This is Forge Master Damien. Forge Master Damien is another one of the mini bosses. As you can see, the mini bosses themselves really do not have too many mechanics going on. That was just a group wide there on that heat wave, and then throughout little embers you have to dodge, don't stand in the swirl. And then we're clearing more trash, and it seems that Captain Dalecry is there now. Secure the forge, Elena. It will be done. Looking at the general text in our chat log. So it seems they are tracking our progress as we kill some of the mini bosses, and that causes Captain Dalecry to come out front of the cathedral. So we do have one other enemy there as well, Tanner Dumal, as well as Captain Dalecry. This fight is pretty basic. We're just going to focus down Tanner so we don't have to deal with them. Fireballs, they're targeted on other members of our party. And then Captain Dalecry themselves, they have a Pierce Armor mechanic that's a tank buster. Battle Cry, we interrupt. Pierce Armor is a tank buster. And then there is a random ability where we get targeted, that's Savage Mauling. You need to break the shield on their mount and then interrupt it, and that's all it was. Very, very basic fight. Probably has more additions on higher difficulties. But as we can only test normal, it is what it is. Then we step into the cathedral. Visually, very, very amazing. The trash itself drops basically consecrations that you do not want to stand in. They are empowered consecrations, better than any paladin has that you can play as, which is a little, there's a little bit of paladin envy in this dungeon, if you will. It feels kind of bad, actually. They are just so much stronger than I am. And we're actually proceeding up the stairs here there's actually going to be another wipe. So what happened here is we're clearing trash, and what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to clear all the trash, but they're I believe they're trying to figure out if there are any skips you can do. So they're just fishing for any skips that you can do, maybe snap things, or maybe just go to the boss directly instead of having to clear the trash. But I'm pretty sure the trash is 100% enforced. So you need to clear the trash. That enables the boss. And we go from there. So this is where the wipe happens. We actually got the boss to snap off the platform. Dorky jumped down and got them to snap. And Baron Braunpike is the first boss. Priory is the last boss. They aren't supposed to be fighting here. So we actually found a bug by doing this. Priory is not supposed to be attacking us right now. Priory is the very final boss of the dungeon in a separate area, but they were untargetable and we could not do damage to them. So that was a bug, but we'll skip ahead to our next attempt. So Baron Braunpike gets knocked down. I think you need to wait for some RP to happen because we had an evade bug. But Baron Braunpike, very, very simple boss. You see the hammers spinning around. The hammers spinning around are one mechanic. Explosions go out. You just step outside of that. And then that's where the hammers go. I think it's baited by a ranged party member or just any other party member in the party. Most likely ranged. And then they just swirl out. Burning light. Very, very basic on normal. And the mechanics, when he uses his wings, his paladin wings, they target more people. But overall, it's really hard to test these dungeons on normal for anything. It's an alpha, so the main priority, if you will, is to make sure everything's working. But from a actual combat standpoint, it would be good if we only had 2 DPS in these dungeons, because we would see more of the fight that way, just because of how hard some of the classes hit. And then we come to the final room, which is a giant room of trash. Now, you don't need to clear all the trash in here, but some of it seems like it's hooked to each other, so you have to be very, very careful. We wipe it here again, so whenever that happens, I will skip ahead. But we try and blast through this, and we start wiping. I try lay on hands, do everything I can, and then we wipe. So we'll skip ahead again. So we do wipe again, but this time we start pulling a little bit more carefully and just going through the dungeon. A little bit slower. And there are a little bit more group pulling. There is one situation where a Divine Storm goes off track and hits another pack. So we have to fight another pack, but it is what it is. And then eventually we get to the final boss, Priory Merprey. The Priory has a Holy Flame. I get hit by a mechanic called Eternal Flame. I think you just run away from it. It's a laser, drops little bad puddle, consecration puddle on the ground as you go up. And then we have a run movement, I believe at 50% HP, called Embrace the Light. Got to break the shield to stop the cast. You have to interrupt the cast. That's basically basic mechanic on this. Something called Stoke the Flame. But we're killing this so fast, it's hard to see most of these mechanics. This is obviously in 2 times, but, you know, still normal. The health pulls are too small, and we just kill it super fast. There's also one more move called Blinding Light. You will see you turn away when it's about to go off. That is a common mechanic that was also in the redone Scarlet Monastery, I believe. But yeah, that was the first new dungeon from the Hallowfall region in the War Within. It is called the Priory of the Sacred Flame. Pretty quick dungeon, a lot of trash, really, really dangerous. I think if anyone butt pulls or if you have a hunter that uses Barrage, don't actually know if Barrage is still a thing. I don't play hunter, but you know, the memes are still there. But yeah, thematically and visually, this was the one I was waiting for the most. Really big fan of this dungeon visually. And I love Scarlet Monastery. So this is basically a redone version of that with the Arathi renown, the Arathi faction, if you will. So I was a big fan of seeing a newer version of this type of dungeon being done in the War Within. I do worry with all the trash how this is going to feel if this is ever a key. Now, the first season keys escape me because I can't remember what they are, but I do know there's some Shadowlands ones returning. But if this is on the table, the amount of trash is going to mess with people, and I really wonder if this is a key, how the Sacred Flame mechanic is going to be tuned, because that would just make paladins and priests having an edge on this dungeon no matter what. But yeah, if you have any questions, please let me know. And also, if you would like this presented in a different way in the future, I could always do an explanation beforehand and just have live footage from my stream to do these dungeons where it's in real time, but I prefer to save everyone's time and try and edit it down, be a little bit faster, and go from there. But please let me know what you prefer. Anyway, if you're interested, I do stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/BigHeroSixy. And recently I played through all of Stellar Blade. And I also streamed the alpha, but Stellar Blade was a great game. I am a variety streamer a lot of the time, even though I do play MMOs pretty heavily, and am a Mythic Raider in World of Warcraft. Or also just like this video and subscribe on my YouTube channel if you want to see more. That being said, I hope you have a great day, and thank you so much.